So, so they said, folks, I'm glad you invited me to speak. I have to introduce myself, after all, to BJ's progeny. I want to introduce myself properly. You see, there is one monster who claims a bit of history, a relationship which is probably unique to him and your father and grandfather. That's me. I'm probably, I suspect, the only teacher who ever gave BJ a B instead of an A, after collecting a stream of A's in other places. He got a B from me. We brought up this bit of his personal history during his one of the many events we were mastering around for him, both abroad and here, on his 80th birthday. But there was this little dinner not far from Dr. Ogunbi's home, and the subject came up. See, I have a much better memory than he has. So my version is the one you should believe. At the University of Ibadan, when he was graduating, he graduated in literature, English literature. But the subsidiary subject was drama. And when the other subject, clean, A. But in my department, he got a B. Then came Wahala. But BJ was obviously a first-class student. I sent for his papers in the English department. He did not disappoint. The lectures, the seminars which he had with us, his essays, tutorial, the mind, an A mind, constantly training. So what happened? BJ, in certain parts of his essay, was somewhat offhand. He felt that he didn't have to tell me anything more. He'd already communicated everything which he wanted. It's a very small thing, but he got a B. The rest wasn't bad. Now the shocker came when the moment of collaboration between all the departments, where the students were taking a subject in certain exam, when it had to be graded. The second class up. Incidentally, we had a connection, by the way, with Arnold Kettle, who was the external examiner. And he also stated that he had expressed the same surprise in the English department. And they said, well, he couldn't get a first class, simply because he got a B in a subsidiary subject. I didn't find anything rational about that. I didn't see why he couldn't still go on and get the first class. Well, we talked this over. And some of you may remember a certain famous lawyer, advocate here, known as D-Law, Rotimi Williams. He argued a case in the lower courts, I think even in the Court of Appeal, and then switched sides at the Supreme Court and represented those on the other side to argue against himself in the lower courts. These precedents are very useful. So they said, well, you can always change the B to an A. The English department was quite, conciliated. But I said no. So this is a new department, that's the grammar department. And we mustn't have this taken for granted. He's an A student, all right, but no, his paper was graded, and I checked the other, because there were several papers in the subsidiary, And we all came to the same conclusion. I said, but this should not prevent him getting a first class. And Arno Kettle, this Marxist teacher of mine from Leeds, agreed with that. I said, yes, I did say that we didn't want people coming to take drama for granted, thinking it's an easy subsidiary. I expected him to do a better paper, to have done a better paper. So I'm not going to take it, but he must have a first class. He mustn't leave this place until that had been decided. The argument went back and forth. We didn't want the subject taken, the paper taken for granted. I said, wait a minute, go and check. There are a lot of people who argue differently at the lower court. And then go to the Supreme Court, and then argue against it. What's wrong with that? I like that. That's the real story of how J. from the B, God got his first class in the South. You'd have heard, you children have heard a lot of stories about your father. He was a bizarre man. You hear these stories, I want you to believe the most outrageous of them. They're true, I guarantee. Have I told you about how in those days of snail mail, you dare not trust the J to the letter. You would carry the letter from Lagos to America, back. You meet him a few times, and DJ wants the letter. But because America now, however, I don't think it's much close. That was DJ. And when he was, he gave the narrative something else. He was entering the capitalist country for the first time, massive contradictions, but how he handled himself is exemplified by this little narrative. He was walking up. You know, I hope it was he, not you. Yeah, it was the guy. Walking along the street one day, and along came one of these strays, skid row, walked along, saw these students together. The guy was one of them. I think it was he, in fact, who was the centerpiece. And man came along, the usual thing. Hey, fella, you got a dime for me? He looked at the man, looked quite menacing, and it was a dark street. So BJ became the spokesman for the group. Said, well, you see, is this where we're students or something? Yeah. I don't want no long story. You got a dime or you got a dime, right? But they said, no, we got it. I said, scram. BJ said, we scrammed.
Thank you very much.